it's everybody's individual choice. And I think good on someone if they don't want to do it, good on them if they do want to do it. Either way, we don't have enough power to change people to all be the same.
From Mamma Mia, I'm Mia Freedman, and you're listening to No Filter, candid conversations with interesting people. Before I recorded this interview, I stood in front of the mirror for, 5-10 minutes, and I really studied my face. I looked at my crow's feet and my frown lines. I looked at my smile lines and my pigmentation and those little 11s, I think they call them, those little lines between your eyebrows. And then I glanced downwards at my sun-damaged chest and the crepey skin on my neck. And yes, I even glanced down at my boobs and thought about how they look so much better when I've got both of my arms raised above my head. Now, this is not something I usually do before my interviews. The only reason I look in the mirror before interviews usually is to make sure there's no food in my teeth, because that would be really disconcerting for whoever I was interviewing. But on this day before this interview, I did it because I was meeting a woman who's called the Doll Maker. Dr Naomi McCullum is a cosmetic physician, and she runs a luxury clinic in Sydney. It's called the Manse. And that's where she and her team do a whole lot of face work on women of all ages. Mostly injectables and fillers and botox and laser. Essentially, they sculpt women's faces. Some men too, but mostly women. And this work has given her the nickname the Doll Maker. In fact, there's a group of women who call themselves Dr Naomi's dolls. But more of that in a second. The reason that I was looking at my face is because I thought Dr Naomi was going to judge it. You see, I'm 48 and I've not had any work done yet. Maybe I will in the future, I don't know. Although I do put a lot of different creams on my face every day and night in the very vain hope of reversing time or at least stalling it on my face. But what's so interesting about this is that Dr. Naomi was also kind of nervous before she came in, and that's because she thought I was going to judge her for how she looked and what she does. So when we got that out of the way, before the interview started, we kind of held hands and agreed this would be a no judgment podcast. And I would urge you to enter into it with the same spirit. Instead, we decided that it was going to be a show about why people, women mostly, are altering their faces and the work that Dr. Naomi's done to her own body and her face, and why in God's good name are people putting filler in their feet. You may have some preconceptions, either positive or negative, about the issue of women and plastic surgery, and we've explored it a little bit further on the site. There's a link in the show notes to the written and video content that we've also done on Mamma Mia to go with this podcast. But before you go and look, I would urge you to keep your mind and your heart open and listen to Dr. Naomi. Do you find that you look at women's faces and go, oh, she could do this, she could do that?
When I see people, I do subconsciously list their flaws. And the other thing that people expect there to be judgment with it, it's not judgment at all. There's no emotion with it, and there's no judgment at all. It's millimeters to me, not
self-worth or...
Yeah. Yeah. So it's proportions and millimeters.
So what do you think, don't hold back, when you look at my face?
So first of all, I'd explore what you wanted from meeting me.
So I said to you, I'm feeling old. What can I do to look better?
Okay. So I'd look at your face and I'd just break it down to a lot of things. So first of all, I'd look at your bones, the forehead, and I'd look how your bones are going there, then your mid-face, and then your lower third.
So when you say you look at bones, there's not much you can do about bones, is there?
Ah, so we're treating bone loss all the time, but we're not replacing the bone.
I'm losing bone in my... I'm losing bone?
You're losing bone everywhere.
I didn't know this.
Ah.
Where's it going?
It's dissolving.
Great. So what do you do? Is that why you inject to put volume back where?
Correct. Yeah. So say on you, your forehead has a little bit of volume loss, but your mid-face is probably where the most noticeable amount of volume loss is. So often in the mid-face, we lose volume in the cheek area and around the under eye area.
Because gravity takes hold and our face falls. Is that why?
Not really. It's because the bone and the fat dissolve. So you've got a bigger envelope to start with that's supported, and then it's just unsupported.
So like little fat baby faces and little fat baby cheeks, and then it all just goes downhill from there.
Yeah. So then I'd look at your volume, and so I'd also see where the volume loss areas are, so nasolabials, marionettes, jawline. Then we'd look at your muscles. So your muscles are, say, your horizontal forehead lines, your frown lines, your crow's feet, these lower face muscles that pull your mouth down. Then we'd look at your proportions, so the top third to the middle third to the lower third. Then we'd look at your symmetry. Then we'd look at your profile, and then we'd look at your skin.
And what's the aim? Like, is there a particular aesthetic that you go for, or that is it very patient-led?
It's patient-led, so that varies. That's individual as well. So some people will want, I just want to look good for my age. Some people say, I want to look 8 years younger. Some people say, I just want to fit in at the office.
What do they mean when they say fit in at the office?
If they're aging.
So that will be some of your older clientele.
Yeah.
With your patients, is there a typical patient at the Manse?
It's a big variety. So they're all the beauty achieving type of patient, obviously. So they come to look better, but it's all ages. We start injectables from 18, so we don't treat injectables in younger people.
Are you sometimes asked to?
Yeah, we are. And we'll just say, come back when you're 18. You've got something to look forward to.
Who comes to you, the mothers or the daughters for the young girls?
Can be both.
So sometimes the mothers say, can my daughter get her lips done, or Botox? Like what are they looking for?
Mostly fillers. Botox not usually, because there's usually one issue in the younger people. It's something that really bugs them. They might have an asymmetrical jaw, or they might have tiny lips, or they might have a very flat mid-face, or something that's a bit different to everybody else, and they've been thinking about it for a while.
And so you say come back when you're 18?
Yeah.
And how old are the majority of your patients, do you think?
So about 40% are under 30, but then all ages.
Is that a growing area? Because that would be surprising to most people.
Yeah, it is.
I spent a long time deep diving in your Instagram and then your patients' Instagrams, and I noticed two things. Firstly, I noticed this particular aesthetic, which is like an obviously enhanced look of giant lips, big doll eyes, big cheeks. So it's very obvious that they've had surgery. I also noticed, as you say, a willingness to be like lips by the Manse. Is it something that has been going on for a long time, but just now we're talking about it?
I think we're talking about it a lot more, but also we're doing it a lot more.
The overblown look, is that all traceable back to Kylie Jenner?
No, that's been around way before Kylie Jenner. Yeah, I think she responded to the cosmetic patients who were doing it before. Years ago, people would love Angelina Jolie.
But she's always had big lips, right? Has she had work?
She looks like she's had work.
What does she look like she's had?
Chin looks different. Jawline looks different.
So do you think it can become addictive?
It's very addictive.
In what way?
Even if you just have your frown lines injected with Botox, you get used to seeing that face in the mirror that has those lines that you hated gone. You don't want to go back to having those lines. Is that addiction?
The reason I guess I've never had Botox is because I worry that it would be a slippery slope, that I'd get rid of those lines, then I'd want to get rid of something else, then I'd try something else. It's almost like once you cross that threshold.
Yeah.
Is that something you see with your clients, that they might start with a little bit and then?
There's some who just stick with their simple, basic plan, but often, once they've fixed one thing, they think, oh, that was nice. What else can we improve?
And how much does it cost?
So your average Botox in a few areas would be around $630 or $700. A filler per mil would be $700-ish.
And how many mils would you need to get that sort of quite exaggerated look?
Oh, you need a lot to get to the exaggerated look. Yeah, a mil doesn't do very much. So you'd have to actually come back a lot to get an exaggerated look.
So those girls that do have the sort of the doll face looks, how much money is in their faces?
Depends where they start. So some actually have a bit of a doll face before they start, so they don't need a lot. So they could spend very little, a couple of thousand, but then who knows? There's no upper limit.
How much would that cost?
They could spend many tens of thousands of dollars.
So why do some women like this look so much? Unity Daniel considers herself to be one of Dr Naomi's dolls. She saved up her money and drew her dream face, and then she went to see Dr Naomi at the Manse.
It's a real honour for me to be one of Dr Naomi's dolls because it was always an aspiration of mine. Before I even met Dr Naomi, I was stalking through Instagram, as we all do, and I came across this page, and every person on this page and they were before and afters, they were so real. They were before and afters I could relate to, and they just embodied all the features that I was seeking at the time. Full, luscious lips, sculpted cheekbones, defined jaw, very smooth alabaster-like skin. I was immediately drawn in. So I decided that was going to be my goal. I was going to go to the Manse, and I tallied up all the procedures that I wanted to do to create my dream face. And from studying arts in Paris, I drew it up. I knew where I wanted to add volume, where I wanted to take away, or what I thought, in my opinion, what needed to be done. I tallied up all the costs, and then I said, okay, that's a goal, and I just put my head down and worked. And like any goal you have, whether it's buying a house or your first car or whatever it is, you take a portion of your salary, you put it aside. Yeah, and here I am. The rest is history.
So how much did she spend? Are you wondering? Well, Unity won't disclose that, but she does have a good way of explaining it.
People say to me, you could have spent that money on a house or a deposit for a house or whatever. But I say, well, this is my house. I live in it every day. A house is just where you put things. And I think it's a wise investment in myself.
If you want to hear more of Unity's story, just head to mamamia.com.au/video or follow Mamma Mia on Facebook or click the link in our show notes. So how do you then decide if someone is doing it for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, or do you feel like that's not your job to decide that?
It's my job to weed out the people who aren't going to be happy, because it's not in my interest to be treating those patients who won't be happy.
What are the red flags for you that someone might be one of those people?
We have a lot of red flags. So if people not accepting when you're trying to give them the limitations, so you could say, well, you might need 2 mils, but you might need a couple more, and they'll say, oh, but I'll definitely get that result from the 2 mils, won't I? And you think, I just said you might need a couple more. So they try and not accept what you're telling them. Poor cosmetic history. So having been to 5 different cosmetic clinics and being botched.
Is it their perception that they've been botched or your perception?
Their perception. Yeah, so say they've been to 5 clinics, all poor results. I'll know a few of the doctors they've been to and think they're really high quality practitioners, and so I think, red flag.
And when you look at someone, what's your definition of a poor result?
Oh, there'll be lumpiness, there'll be blueness, there'll be poor proportions, there'll be crazy placement of cheeks, there'll be...
Where would you put cheeks?
So I've seen them all over the face.
Stop it.
I've seen cheeks...
Nobody wants that.
I've seen cheeks almost where the jawline is. I've seen cheeks that are too far down, too high, too far out.
So back to some of the red flags, how do you tell the difference between someone who has body dysmorphia and looks in the mirror and sees something that's not there? If someone says to you, I need bigger lips, and already their lips are huge.
Yeah.
How do you recognise that, and how do you handle it as a doctor?
So you take a really good history. You ask them how often they look in the mirror a day. You ask if it affects their life. Yeah, you just explore them very well and you'll get a good idea.
Where do men fit into this?
Men are a little bit irrelevant.
I was going to ask, are they doing it for the male gaze or the female gaze?
They're doing it for the mirror.
Is it that they've internalised what a hot woman should look like in this day and age, and they think that what's going to make them most attractive and most desirable is that overblown sort of Kylie Jenner look?
It's probably more flaw-based than you're thinking. So people will think, oh, I want my eyebrows a little bit higher. I want this wrinkle gone. Yeah, so I think you're thinking it's a bit different to how it is.
Because it's so interesting, that idea of breaking it down into individual things, and that's how you look at people, of course, because that's what you're trained to do. Yeah. But what about the aesthetic of the whole face? Like, what makes someone unique and what makes me look different to you and you look different to, our producer Liz, is all of those different configurations. And if we all have the same unlined forehead and the same volume in our lips and the same cheeks, we lose the beauty of what makes us different.
I think it'd be hard to really lose the beauty that makes us different. We're still very different. We don't have enough power to change people to all be the same yet.
But a lot of your patients do look the patients on Instagram do look quite the same.
Yeah. So you're seeing the group who consent to social media. So that's a subset, a very different subset to the rest.
Is that back to the 40% of your patients are under 30 and the rest are all different ages?
So. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. And also being on Instagram will attract people who want to be on Instagram. And because we've got all of the beautiful girls on Instagram, it'll attract that type who want to be that.
It was funny when we were trying to organise this interview and you were saying, I can't for a few weeks because I'm recovering from lipo. That must be a job hazard, just kind of thinking, I want to get this done, I want to get that done.
Okay, it's the worst. So whatever I send people for, when they come back from having it, I think, I want that too.
So you don't do those do those processes. How come? Is that a different thing?
I like non-invasive things. I don't like hospitals and I don't like the higher risk procedures.
So you don't do anything that requires a general anaesthetic?
No.
So what did you just recently have?
I had a couple of things. I've had a lot of treatments lately. I hadn't had any for a while and it was time to have some. I had a lip lift.
You sound tired when
I'm
you talk
exhausted.
about that.
I'm exhausted. I hate having procedures. I'd rather have a holiday, which I usually would have, but I gave up a holiday to have procedures.
Why?
Probably because I saw so many great results from liposuction recently and I thought, oh yeah, I need to do that.
So what did you have? You had recently?
I had a lip lift.
What does that mean?
Oh, so I had the philtrum of my upper lip shortened.
The philtrum? What's
so the distance, the white lip, the cutaneous lip, the distance between the nose to the lip.
So they cut it and they pull it up.
It. Yeah.
So why is a long philtrum bad?
It's not bad. It just lengthens as you age. And if you have a long one from when you're young, it becomes very long as you age. And when you talk, you can't see your teeth.
And then your lip's dragging on the floor before you know it.
Yes.
So you're in your 40s. You had your philtrum shortened. What else?
I had liposuction.
Where?
So everywhere. Everywhere there's fat. So I had arms, upper back, trunk, flanks, and legs.
But why?
Well, I was on the road. I wasn't going to get my legs done, but my liposuction doctor she's amazing and such a fattest. What's
a fattest? She just hates fat.
Like a like a racist or a homophobe, but against fat.
Oh, a fattest.
Yeah.
And so she just...
So I wasn't going to get I just wanted my arms and my trunk. I really only wanted my flanks and my arms done, but she's really motivated to get amazing results. And
A flank's the same as love handles?
yes.
Mm.
Yeah. So then I had that done, and she did all of the rest, and then she was like, oh, your thighs could be a bit thinner. And I was like, oh, they didn't worry me, but okay. So she did it. I'm very happy. She did a great job.
I was going to ask about the whole process of upselling and the slippery slope, because it's a bit like, oh, while we're here, do you want to just do this? Do you want to just do a bit of that?
Yeah.
I mean, where's the ethics or we're all suggestible, aren't we?
The thing is, I guess she knew that I'd be really happy if she did it, and I am.
What was the recovery like?
Oh, yuck, horrible, because I worked a lot during it, which I shouldn't have.
I've seen liposuction on Botched and things, those shows, and I used to think that it was just like a little process where they like put in an IV and suck out fat, but it's really quite a violent process. Like you get your arm in there and the doctor really, it's like vacuuming the floor.
It's a hard job. It's hard work.
And so how do you feel afterwards when you wake up?
You feel like you've been hit by a truck.
For how long?
The first day is not too bad, but once the drugs get out of your system, I'm still sore from one I had 6 weeks ago.
How often do you get liposuction?
I've had liposuction 8 times, and I just did 3 in a few weeks. So
it's a lot, isn't it? Is it for you?
Oh yeah.
You look sad.
Oh yeah. I don't want any procedures for another 3 years.
So you got your lipo, you got your lip shortened.
That's it for a while.
And what else have you had?
I've had...
Can I guess?
Yeah, yeah.
Cheeks, lips.
Oh, filler everywhere.
Right. Oh, Ash.
I thought you meant my surgical procedure.
No, see, I kind of think of it as all the same thing.
Ah,
but it's almost, that's the point, isn't it? It's almost like when people used to go for a facial or go and get their hair cut. It's almost become that.
Yeah, so to me, it's more risk-based. So that's how I view procedures. Yeah.
Right. So fillers, you have fillers all the time. Do you get do you do them yourself?
I have done them myself, but no, I don't do them myself anymore.
So do you all just inject each other all the time?
All the time. All the time. There's a lot of bruises there all the time.
And does anyone just go, hey, stop? Do you ever have to have an intervention with each other?
We don't get injected as much as the patients. We're all a bit...
Well, that's good. Because you are the doctors. You need to actually make some time to inject the patients.
We're a bit undertreated. We all want more than we get time to have.
Do you ever look in the mirror? I'm not going to try to psychoanalyze you too much, but I'm interested. Do you ever look in the mirror and just go, yeah? Or do you always look in the mirror and with your trained eye and go, I could be this, I could do this, I could...
I'm more relaxed about it than you would think probably. I always think you do the best you can with the time you've got and be happy. Once something starts to annoy me, though, it starts to annoy me and then I'll want to do something about it. But in general, I just think, I'll do that when I can be bothered.
Can I ask about your husband?
Yeah.
How long have you been married for?
14 years.
How did you guys meet?
A nightclub.
An oldie but a goodie. Before dating apps.
I never got to try Tinder.
That's where everybody had to meet, isn't it? In nightclubs.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He works with you?
Yeah, he's a nurse.
And what's his perception of you?
In terms of the cosmetic stuff?
Yeah,
he just thinks I'm crazy. Yeah.
To me, every girl I know, every woman I know who has even just Botox, they do not tell their husbands.
Really?
No, they do not tell their husbands because their husbands, they say, would be really angry with them because they don't like the idea of them surgically changing themselves. And they think they're perfectly beautiful as they are. Are most of your patients straight?
The majority of the females are straight. Of the 15% males we have, literally half are straight, half are gay.
Right.
Yeah.
And as far as the straight girls go, are they open with their partners if they have male partners?
I would say more often than not they are.
Particularly if they've got an exaggerated look.
Yeah.
So your husband thinks it's silly you doing it to yourself because
He just doesn't want me. And I guess this is how I feel about my daughter as well. He doesn't want me doing too risky procedures. And that's exactly how I feel about my daughter. I don't mind what she does, but I just will hope that she'll never choose the riskier things.
How old is she?
She's turning 13.
And what's her view of all of this?
She's a bit of a tomboy. She's a non-Instagram kid. She's not really into it. I know that she doesn't like a nose because she talked about that as a very young child because she's half African. And I guess she came home and said she always used to push her nose together, and I'd say, "What are you doing?" And she'd say, "I want my nose pointy like a pencil."
And what do you say?
"You're beautiful as you are."
And you mean that, obviously.
Of course, she's
you mean it.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I think it's more that she looks different. Yeah.
Your
rather
husband's
than-
African?
Yes. So I think it's more that all the kids at school have pointy like a pencil noses. Yeah.
So how do you, when you change your own face, and I don't know what your face used to look like, was it very different to how it is now?
I think so, yeah.
How do you explain that to her?
I haven't.
You know, like mummy's getting her fat sucked out, mummy's getting her lips done, mummy's doing whatever.
Yeah, I don't really talk about it.
But then
It's just,
you're beautiful how you are, don't change. You know what I mean? Do you ever go, oh,
I wouldn't mind if she did, but just there's a few things that I'd hate for her to do. I'd hate for her to get breast implants. I would hate for her to get rhinoplasty more because of the high rate of revision. Yeah, if I knew she could just do a rhinoplasty and she'd be happy, well, I wouldn't mind as much. But rhinoplasty is often not like that. More often than not,
people aren't happy with their results or their
Yes.
results are just terrible?
both.
Why don't you want her to get a boob job? I mean, she is 13, but in the future.
Because I like a wide, aesthetically I just like a wide range of proportions, and I think boob job is a weird epidemic to me.
Have you had a boob job?
No.
Natural boobs.
Yeah. Oh, I've had breast reductions.
Oh,
They were bigger than I wanted them to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny you say that aesthetic of the everyone having the same boobs.
Yeah.
But with the cheeks and the lips, isn't there the aesthetic of everybody having the same lips and the same cheeks?
No. I still think a wide range of cheeks is good too. Yeah, because we see all different cultures, so we're going to have a wide range.
With talking about partners and boyfriends and husbands, it's funny what you say about your husband thinks it's ridiculous and he thinks it's high risk, and not ridiculous, but he's like, you don't need to do it. You're beautiful. So you don't do it to be more attractive to him.
No. No, he doesn't care.
You do it for the mirror.
Yeah, I just want to fix little millimeters here and there.
And won't there always be things that need, in quote marks, fixing? And if we're all
Probably.
fixed, won't we all look the same?
No, we all look so different anyway.
Do we?
To me, yeah. I'm very sensitive to millimeters. So, yeah, I don't think we will.
I guess just finally, where do you see the sort of the trends going in terms of what aesthetic you're being asked for more? What are you being asked for more, and what's sort of dying away?
I guess treating the face as a whole, so not just focusing on the classic, the lips and the cheeks, but doing things like foreheads and jawlines and necks. So being more global with the face rather than just more in the lips, more in the cheeks.
So it's kind of like there's now more areas that we're changing in our face, and now it's coming down to our neck as well.
Oh, it's moving down to our toes, don't worry.
Is it actually
Yeah.
our actual toes?
Yeah, of course.
What do you mean, of course? What do you do on toes?
No, but it's, we're slimming I'll go down the whole body for
Yeah.
you. So we're slimming the trapezius so we can have a longer neck. We learnt that from the Asians, which is excellent. Coming down, we're tightening the skin of the tummy. Moving down, we're slimming the calf muscles to give longer looking legs.
Toes? Feet?
Oh, you could fill a foot. I haven't, but we do sweating for the feet. for excessive sweating.
Botox in the feet for
Yeah.
excessive sweating.
Yeah.
And feel, what would you feel? Like
So-
the space between toes? No.
No, you could feel a foot to reduce the veiny look of it.
And when you talk about slimming trapezoid muscles and calves, how do you do that?
With Botox.
How does Botox make something smaller?
It relaxes the muscle. Yeah, so it works on the muscle.
What do you think when you see an old person who hasn't had work?
Nothing.
Right. So for you, it's not there's no, judgment is such a strong word, but there's no, I find that when I see older women now who haven't had work, I feel a sense of affection for them. Because I think just gratitude that I can look at some other faces and see a way for me to look as I get older.
I feel like it's everybody's individual choice. And I think good on someone if they don't want to do it, good on them if they do want to do it. Either way.
It doesn't matter.
No, it's not my choice.
Thanks so much for talking to me.
No worries.
It's been really fun.
Oh, thank you for having me.
What are you off to do for the rest of the day?
I'm going to make some YouTube videos about skincare.
Are you?
Yeah.
I have to say, my favourite no filter interviews are the ones when I go in there thinking that I know what I think about something and someone and come out with my mind and my opinion completely changed. I will admit I've been very quick to judge in the past women for what they do to their faces or, I haven't understood it and I've judged it. And talking to Dr. Naomi was just such a delight. She's such a lovely person and she really took me by surprise with her candor and her openness and just her take on the whole idea of women and what we do to ourselves and why. She's desperate for me to go and have Botox and for her to do a few things to me. I'm resisting at the moment, but if that's your bag, if that's what you do, go for it. You can hear more from Dr. Naomi by following her on Instagram at Dr. Naomi1. And if you are new to the No Filter podcast, please make sure you've hit the subscribe button so you can be the first to know when an episode has dropped. If you're looking for something else to listen to next, why not check out the podcast for your face, You Beauty. It may seem funny having a podcast about beauty, but it's actually amazing. It's a twice weekly show hosted by Lee Campbell and Kelly McCarran, and they answer all your beauty questions. And I usually listen, but I have to hold my phone at the same time because I'm always jotting down the names of products that I want to buy. They talk about everything from Botox through to slugging, whatever slugging is, exfoliating, and there was this amazing episode with a woman who started Adore Beauty and she talks about her best budget beauty buy, which is called her Savvy product and how it's got 100 uses. Search for You Beauty in your podcast app. No Filter is produced by Eliza Ratliff. I'm Mia Freedman and I'll see you on Mamma Mia.